took a lot of the, oh, it's telling me it's being recorded. Was that just me? Did everyone see that? Okay.
You're fine, go ahead.
Cool. But no, it took a lot of the words out of my mouth. The legal protection is, the big one is the Americans with Disabilities Act. And if you didn't grow up with the Americans with Disabilities Act, you might not be aware of what the legal protections under that law are. In fact, you know, there are a lot of people who do grow up in America under the Americans with Disabilities Act who don't know what those protections are. But I came to UIC a couple years ago from a community college where we didn't serve a lot of international students at this particular community college. And as I was sort of getting my bearings at UIC and learning more and more about the student population, I realized, like, wow, there's a real, it's very possible that this population is being underserved, or this group of people are not aware of their rights. Folks who are either first generation or immigrants themselves, or however we sort of characterize international students. I know that's kind of a nebulous term, but I was sort of noticing that in a lot of ways, including students who were immigrants themselves coming in, maybe in their third year or their fourth year, or once they were already in graduate school, and saying, like, wow, I never knew I could be considered an individual with a disability, or I struggled with this a lot before, but the culture that I grew up in, or my parents' cultural understanding of, say, mental health, or other maybe non-apparent disabilities led me to not disclose, or to not want to seek help, or I just didn't realize that I could get this kind of help. So I was grappling with this issue and sort of thinking, like, how can we better support these folks? And that happened to be around the same time when I met Mizan through the International TA's office. And we kind of worked on putting together some trainings and stuff for international TAs, and he and Noah approached me about this idea of starting this club and asked if I would be an advisor. And I said, my gosh, yes, this sounds like such a crucial thing that had been kind of missing on campus. And I've always thought, you know, it's easy for me as someone who works at the school to say, like, oh, we need to remove stigma, or, like, you know, try and think past that and come in, even if, like, that's not what your upbringing tells you to do, or that kind of thing. But I realize, like, it's not my lived experience, right? So I think there's such a huge value in having this community and hearing this message from other students, right? Like, students working with other students and hearing it from other people who've dealt with the same kind of issues, and centering those voices is really important to me. So yeah, that's why I think it's super valuable. I think in a lot of ways this is pretty groundbreaking. Like, I don't know if this is happening at a lot of schools in the country. So I think you should all be really proud of the work you're doing. And I know it's still sort of early days, but it's really exciting that you all are gathering steam. And the DRC is behind you 100%.
All right, thank you, Sophia. Very briefly, but very important and talk, and nicely describe how it begins and why we started. And then maybe we'll definitely, we want to come to you again, and we want to hear from you again. So now I want to go to Margaret Fink. So Margaret, we're so happy that you join us as our in our advisory board. And that is really very exciting and important for us, because we need mentor. Because again, if we say, like, CDI is a platform where disabled and non-disabled students work together for disability inclusion. So my question to you, how do you see the importance of the role of a non-disabled students to join the disability rights movement or disability inclusion movement? How do you see these things?
Hey everyone, thank you for that great question. I love, you know, the good way to round out the week before a long weekend to have a conversation like this. So just really briefly want to introduce myself. Also, my name is Margaret Fink. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm the director of the Disability Cultural Center. So I'm really delighted to be here with everyone. I just want to echo the sense that's coming out of this conversation that building community around particular identities and specifically intersectional identities, in this case, you know, being an international student or first generation immigrant and, you know, being a person with a disability, that's so important because like you're saying, you feel really isolated. It can be so helpful to find other people who understand where you're coming from. And that's what the Disability Cultural Center is very much about. We're trying to build community around disability identity for people who are exploring their identity, people who definitely identify as disabled. And we recognize that there are all kinds of communities within disability communities. So I'm just so happy that this group has come together. And thank you for your question, because another big piece is we are a disability cultural center in a larger university. And so we're very thoughtful about what is the university culture and how is that university culture maybe not as inviting and inclusive as it could be, and what's making it like that. So I think that's what's super essential for non-disabled students to begin seeing. Like they take it for granted that it works a certain way, that when you do an event, you do it a certain way, maybe in a student organization. And I think that organizations like your organization, hopefully our cultural center, we can help people start to see, okay, the way we're doing something is not going to be inviting, it's not going to be welcoming, it may not be accessible to certain people, and learn how to think through that and begin taking certain steps that will make things a lot more open. As simple as saying something about, hey, if you need an accessibility request, here's who you can contact. A lot of these things would make a really big difference. And finding community is so important, it's so powerful. And the next step is kind of how do you get the entire community, like the larger culture, to not be so difficult for disabled people to navigate, basically. So I hope that answers your question, and I'm really excited about the initiatives that you all have planned for this coming year.
All right, so I know Sophia has another issue, another meeting or something after 5 o'clock. So that's why I want to come quickly again to her with the same kind of questions, but little bit, I want to add something like, so DRC is a great platform at UIC to support students with disabilities. But do you think that a student organization like CDI, where non-disabled students are working as a volunteer or peer or friends for disabled students, so how do you see these things? Is it a competitor or is it like collaborator? Or how do you evaluate the role of volunteers in this kind of work?
Yeah, you know, that's a really interesting question. This is Sophia again. So I think absolutely not competitive, should be working in tandem, all that good stuff. But I think it's also really important that we unpack the idea of service work and think about, you know, how to really do service in solidarity with someone. And it makes me think of sometimes when we table, and obviously we're not tabling this year because we're all at home, but you know, when we have like the involvement fair or something like that, we put out a table and we tend to get folks who come up to us and are like, I want to help people with disabilities. Like, how can I volunteer? And on the one hand, I think that's like really excellent and important. And on the other hand, it gives me pause a tiny bit because I'm like, we're not doing charity work, right? Like, this isn't going to be like you push someone's wheelchair and feel good about yourself, right? And I don't want to read too much into their, desire to volunteer, but I think it's really important that it's like, okay, if a group like CDI is coordinating these kind of volunteer efforts, that gives me heart, that heartens me, right, in this direction, because it means that folks who are actually at this identity intersection are the ones who are steering the conversation around, like, okay, if you want to do service, what does your service look like? What are the things that folks with disabilities actually need, not non-disabled people's perceptions of what folks with disabilities need, right? We have a lot of folks who want to volunteer, and so far we haven't had a ton of capacity to do that middle work of being like, okay, what action, like, where can we plug you in where it's most appropriate? But there are, I think, a lot of opportunities there. One action that I know that the Chancellor's Committee on the Status of Persons with Disabilities, like the student subcommittee, wanted to get off the ground, that I thought was like a perfect example of like, oh, this is like such a great volunteer idea. Last year they had like a drive to get non-disabled students to walk through the campus and make notes of all of the physical access barriers. And that's like a perfect example of something that it's like, oh, potentially a disabled student wouldn't be able to do this kind of work, but they need it to be done. And it would be an easy thing to train people up to do, to then go around and like make all these notes so then we can improve the physical access of our campus. And I think they worked on that. I think it didn't quite come to fruition, but like those kind of efforts are things that we would 100% get behind. But yeah, I think in closing and just reiterating, I think it's important to keep in mind who is steering those efforts and what is the end goal, and is it really serving folks with disabilities on their terms?
Thank you, Sophia. Okay, so before going to our CDA members, I want to ask one more question to Margaret. So Margaret, you already knew that we have some new members come in as a volunteer, and they are very excited to work with disabled community and join the disabled rights movement, but they are non-disabled students. They have very limited knowledge about disability, but they have a huge passions, motivations, commitment to work for disabled rights movement. So what kind of, do you have any suggestions or for cultural perspectives, or do you have a suggestion for our new members?
Okay, this is Margaret. That's a great question. Yes, I think I do. We actually spent some time over the summer building up our website, and so we have some recommendations for blog posts and podcasts, and there really is a very rich disability cultural scene out there, and just starting to listen to how people think about and talk about disability can really be super helpful in, as Sophia was saying, I was like, oh yes, it's exactly what we need to talk about. Relationships of solidarity as opposed to charity. That's completely a really important idea. It's like we're leaning on each other because that's how it works best. We don't have to be self-sufficient individual, take care of yourself. We are living in community, we are supporting one another. And it's not a relationship where there's this person who is helping someone that's somehow, below them, inferior to them. That's not what we're talking about. So I would say come find our website. Maybe that's like a very selfish plug, but the DCC website has some resources for people to begin looking into disability culture. And if people want to get in touch directly, we're happy to talk with them and share, people in your organization would have a lot to offer too.
All right. Thank you very much for some important note for our new members. So now I want to go to a few of our members who are working hard behind to establish the organizations, to strengthen the organization, promote the organization among the new members. So we'll talk, and I believe you will be happy to see how they're working, very hard. And I'm very happy and glad to, I'm proud of my team from Noah to all of members. So first I want to come to Batool Arastu, our advocacy officer, CDI UIC. So Batool, my question for you, as a disabled student, how do you think CDI activities will help to accomplish your academic and professional goals?
Thank you, Mizan. That's a great question. Hi, my name is Batool Arastu. My pronouns are she, hers, and her. I'm a psych student at UIC. I just transferred here, and I am visually impaired. So I feel like with the work that we are doing with CDI, with how it could help, students and not just me, in general, could be teaching just everybody around us that needs to be knowing the culture of disability. And I know that people coming from internationally, they don't have many accommodations and things that we have access to here. I do have an example. When I went to Iraq last year and I had my cane, they didn't even know what that was. So I can't even imagine what it would be like for someone to come here and go through the education system or going through work and not know the culture of, or know the access of what we could have here. So I feel like with what we are doing with spreading the word and asking just for volunteers to help spread the word is great work.
Thank you, Batu. Okay, that's great to hear. Now we will talk or hear some of our new officers. So Djeneba, she recently joined with us and leading the communication department, we would say, and she's a great communicator. So I will ask her that what makes you join CDI, and talk about a little bit the role of volunteers to build an inclusive society. Djeneba.
Thank you, Mizan, for this question. My name is Djeneba Diakite, and I'm a senior at UIC studying biological sciences, and I'm on pre-med track. I recently joined CDI, as Mizan just mentioned, not longer ago, and I'm volunteering as a communication officer to spread the word, as Batool just mentioned, because I realized myself that I need to learn about disability, and also that there are many people like me who weren't aware of, the struggle that the disability community is going through, not only on campuses, but, in our communities. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here at CDI, to spread that awareness. And to answer your question, volunteering at an organization, this is not my first time. I've already served two organizations prior to CDI. The first one is a human rights organization based here in Chicago called Justice for All. And they are based in downtown Chicago. And the work they do is to spread awareness about any human right violation that is going through minorities around the world, not only here in US. So I was there as a translator because I do speak French in addition to English. And I have learned a lot that, many people are suffering around the world that need help. And if I can be one of those people to help them alleviate their suffering, yes, I'm willing to do so. And the second organization I've been volunteering for the past 7 years is Mali Relief. Is also a non-for-profit organization based here in Chicago that serve needy and refugees in West Africa. Because I'm originally from West Africa, Ivory Coast, have been there as an international student. And as Noah mentioned earlier, yeah, I've been through that struggle, not knowing, you know, where to go and what are the resources available for me. And it takes a lot of time before I figure out. But hopefully, yes, I was able to meet the right person to guide me through. And now here I am with CDI, volunteering again for this time another underserved community in our society, the disabled community. And as Batool just mentioned, that was a great example. Outside of the United States, there are disabled community in other countries, but they do not have access to resources like here in the United States. And to support that further, I just did a summer research intern with the Chicago Czech, which is an organization here at Chicago as well, who does work for health disparity on cancer. Pretty much people who are living in underserved community and who are being diagnosed with cancer but do not have the resources or the knowledge, you know, to direct them to the physician to get their treatment done. So that's where I really learn about, not learn, but I realized that yes, disabled community are one of those underserved community that need to, you know, their need to be addressed. And that was thanks to one of my peer, because she was always be asking each and every single speakers who are coming to the program, okay, I'm interested in disability and how can I make my way through? I would like to have a PhD like Mizan, but she didn't know she was asking. And I was always hearing she was insisting. I say, yes, that's something I have to look into, even though I have my own interest. I'm interested in women's health, but these community also do need help. And that's what brings me to CDI. One day I was going through the student campus group, and I was filling out a form that I received from another student organization to be part of the organization. And that's where I just come across CDI and I see disability. I say, yes, I want to be part of this too. And here I am. And I would like to invite, you know, any other student, non-disabled student at UIC. This is a great work, as our advisor just mentioned earlier, Sophia and Margaret, and is a great work to be part of, and it will bring change. And we all need to educate ourselves in order to help this vulnerable community, not only at UIC, but in Chicago and all around the country.
Thank you, Djeneba. When you are talking, I can just remember. I can just remember one thing, that the work we are doing here is not a charity. It's like a responsibility of as an active citizen, or yeah. So thank you for that. And so now I'm very excited because we'll hear from Mira Azar, and she recently joined with us, but after just joining, she's so much passionate and very expert on campaigning, especially she's working. She did some excellent work in the involvement fair. So Mira, again, same question for you, because you joined as a volunteer first, then you become the campaign officer, and you are leading a very important role to promote our upcoming, I would say, one of our signature event, drive for disability inclusion. So first talk about what makes you interested in CDI, and then you can talk about a little bit our upcoming event. Mira.
Thank you. So my name is Mira. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a junior at UIC. And I recently just joined this week, actually. And the reason I joined was because um, last year, as a sophomore, spring semester, I took this class called DHC 101 because I had the opportunity to. And my professor did an amazing job in teaching us about everything about disability, disability culture. And I, like before that, I had no idea, like the point of view, like the way disability, like disabled people, like viewed the world and everything. And after like my professor, her name is Van Human, and she just like taught us about like how disabled people live and like what they have to face and like how they're limited to our community. And yeah, so as a person who loves volunteering, I after like I logged into like the involvement fair and I just like searched like clubs and all that. I stumbled and I saw the opportunity to volunteer with CDI. And I said why not, because I love volunteering, and since it's like the pandemic, it's really rare to find volunteering opportunities. So I signed up, and right away I did my part. I send out emails, spread the word about CDI and like what we do, which is help promote disability culture in our communities, and just like inform them how like the community can be disabling. It is disabling to disabled people, and I really want to help in changing that and including disability culture in, everywhere we go, not only UIC, all around the country too. And for an upcoming event, we are working on this event called Drive for Disability Inclusion, D4DI, and this is just a contest on campus where different clubs can sign up, and the contest is basically to see who is the most disabled friendly club on campus, who have like the most disability culture included. So there's like different phases. We have the first phase where you sign up and you brainstorm ideas, and you have to like fill out a form to sign up. And then phase two, you meet up with us. There's a webinar participation where all the leaders of each organization share their ideas, and it's like learn more about how to like promote disability culture. And then we have the third phase where they make the video and they submit it. And then we have the top three winners will like have a take they'll like get a prize. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mira. Actually, we'll definitely talk about that event detail in our next live session. And again, we're almost done with hearing from our team members. So now we'll go some of our new audience, or I would say new interested volunteers who want to join with us. They might have some questions. So we'll go to them and we'll wait for them. So in the meantime, I'm just, again, saying why CDI and what is CDI. So CDI, the Connecting Dot International, is it launched in 2019 as a student organization at UIC, and our goal is to connect all the dots. I mean, in international and national American students with disabilities and non-disabled students. We'll connect everyone so that who, especially the international students who come here for their academic goal, they can get some immediate assistance or volunteers, or some they get some peers to go ahead with the support of someone. So and also any disabled students, if they need any non-medical assistance or support, or even like need a friend, so our non-disabled student will be there to help each other for their professional and academic development. So now we'll go now the floor is open for our audience who join with us. For example, Brenna Doxey, if you want to share, or if you have any questions, you can ask, and we can talk about that.
I was writing down a few questions. Let's see. Well, I guess I'll start with what exactly do you do in this club, like activities wise?
All right. Noah, you want to answer?
Okay, so good question. So our started in 2019, and at that time we did 2 events. One is nice to meet you, and basically had a welcome, like, opening event, which was like talking what we want to do in our future. And at that time we had a couple things, like it came out. One is like to be more like activists, like, and like, first of all, knowing the issue of specifically being international student or immigrants with a student with disability, or generation with disability, student with disability, that face and lack of resources and demand to more higher up administration. And to do that, we need to have more bigger data. So that was one thing we wanted to do as like activism slash advocacy. And another hand is we want to educate the same age, similar age. I'm a little bit older since I came from, like, I graduated Japanese university, so like I'm a little bit older. But so similar age student, which is next generation student in the future, to be knowing more wide perspective about disability culture and disability identity, and what's actual means of disability. Like, when we use people with disability, it means so many ways, and a lot of people think people with disability are on the wheelchair, but not only that, a lot of people have different needs, a lot of people have a different disabilities. What, like, we wanted to raise like awareness about what is disability is like, and understanding about it. And third is we wanted to have individual story to put out, because I think the best way, and not best way, that's not a good way to say it. I believe, this is my belief, but individual story matters. Really, it's really matters, because that's the person's experience that no other person could experience. And to have the story going out means they have their voice now, and that really matters, and that is really rich and strong and empowering moment. And as a person with disability, I believe that to have that individual, like, it's priority. When we talk international student, it's so many wide, like, even within the same international student, we have different perspective, because our country and culture is different. So having so many different story to share and by sharing it, we could find a common like perspective or like understanding as a human being and be more interdependent. That is the goal. So we're planning to like end of the goal is to have a UIC to be more diverse and inclusion, but those are the things we're planning to do as this year slash when we started as the object that we want to have our story to be heard, to be have a storytelling, doing advocacy work and having interdependency, having non-disabled people and disabled people helping each other and seeing those UIC like it's kind of changing that as a norm.
I just thank you, Noah. Brenna, I think you got some ideas what we are doing, but I just want to add few specific example with Noah. So first of all, we have 3 objectives as Noah mentioned details. So first, we want to make an awareness about disability among the students community at UIC especially. So for example, Mira was talking about one event, which is a campus-wide contest for students leaders. So they will join because most of the student organizations and their leaders have a very limited knowledge about disability inclusion, and when they organize an event, they even don't know what kind of facilities they need to prepare for a disabled participants. So we need to create a greater awareness. And Noah's talking, that's why we organize some event, for example, Ice to Meet You, and we share some stories of disabled students. As Noah is mentioning, the stories matter. So different people have different kind of stories as a students with disabilities, and other people need to know that. So we create videos, we make story and post on social medias, etc. And then Noah was talking about like advocacy. So as an international students with disabilities and also students with disabilities, they face a lot of challenges. Still, we have a great laws, ADA, the American with Disabilities Act, but still there's some attitudinal barriers, some environmental barriers. So we need to do some advocacy to change that. So CDI will do that on behalf of disabled community. And finally, we recruit volunteers, I mean, the non-disabled students who want to support or assist or work as a peer with a disabled student. So we are going to launch soon a mobile applications. It will connect non-disabled student and volunteer, and a volunteer can help or assist for a non-disabled student if they need anything which is non-medical, like academic support or like doing grocery, like that kind of supports. And also CDI will give them community service or certificates. So these 3 activities we'll do continue through CDI. Yeah. So sorry, Brenna, it's a long answer. Do you have any other questions?
Maybe like one more, because you pretty much answered like all of them.
All right.
I'd say like my pretty much my last question are like what type of like precautions and stuff are you taking because of COVID-19 this year?
Yeah, so if any team member want to join, please join with me. So first of all, because of this situation, we are going to launch an online event. Again, the Mira was talking about the drive for disability inclusion. So it will be like a webinar workshop for the so for the students organizations and their leaders and volunteers. They'll join and learn about disability inclusion online, and then they will redesign their disability policies. They will make some plans how they are going to make their organization disabled friendlier, and then they will present those. They will make a pitch, like 3-minute pitch, and it is a contest, and we'll share with our social media for our UIC community, and everybody vote those videos. And which team has or will have the best or perfect disability policies and services, they will get an award. It will be a big award, prize money. So and also that how our goal is like, if I want to serve a student with disabilities, that will be a single person. But if we encourage the hundreds of organizations we have at UIC, like 450 organizations and their leaders, then you can see the service will be dramatically increases. So that is our goal in this situation, teaching and sharing knowledge to our stakeholders, I mean others, student organizations, how we can make our campus more disabled friendly together. Yeah. Anybody, if you want to add something, please add. If not, then, oh yeah, Margaret, please.
Noah, did you just unmute? No. This is Margaret. I just wanted to share a story. Yeah, I'm new to UIC, kind of. I started exactly 1 year ago. And so especially if anyone out there is watching and they're also new to UIC, even if you're not, one thing that I have noticed and I just think it's so wonderful about UIC is people seem so invested in social justice that you don't have to convince them that it's something that they should be interested in. And usually adding disability to their sense of things like racial justice, economic justice, climate justice, so on, that's not that difficult to do compared to other places. So I'm so excited for this contest because I know for a fact we've had a lot of people email us, hey, somebody said you can get captioning for an event. What? Like, that sounds so interesting. I never thought of that before. I'm really interested in making my organization more inclusive. So kind of that's the group of people that I think this organization is going to be so important for, is giving support to kind of take your social justice commitment to another level, to another population. So just giving you all a high five mentally. This is a great initiative.
Thank you, Margaret. You are the behind leader of this great event we are going to launch, because you are helping us with ideas, with suggestions and some resources, definitely. And we're excited to, working together to make this even happen. Yeah, because I already got like 7 confirmation from 7 organizations leaders, they want to join with us in this contest. So this is exciting that students organizations are really willing to learn about disability inclusion and and also their interest to make their organization disabled friendlier. So this contest will be, I believe it will be big, and yeah, I'm so excited. All right, I can see a few more audience with us, like maybe June, I can see, and yeah, so if anybody has any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we have 4 minutes to go, because our goal was to make this live session 1 hour. So we have 4 more minutes. And if, okay, in Djeneba, okay. Do you have anything as a part of a communication lead to share with us?
I will say, to the new member or anyone interested in, to join CDI, visit our Facebook page. It has a lot of information. We are sharing, pretty much updating the page every week with, the most recent information. And also we'll have a mailing list. You can sign up the form and to join our mailing list that will be sent out once a month, and we'll have a lot of information about CDI events and any other resources you may need on campus. So,
all right.
Noah. Add to that, we have a website as well. Facebook website, yeah, and I think Twitter too.
Yeah, we have Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, website. So if you want to learn about us and want to connect with us, so please visit any of the pages. So and also you can always reach out to us. So by the way, at the end, what I want to say, we are recruiting volunteers. We need a lot of volunteers for our upcoming events. So if anyone is interested, as Djeneba said, especially the Mira is leading the our upcoming events, D4DI. So I believe we need a lot of members, new members and volunteers to implement this big events. So feel free to knock us and fill up the Google form. You can see in the website and Facebook page, you can see the link in the very top. So just fill up that form, then we'll know that you are interested, and then we'll communicate with you. We means our team. So thank you very much, everyone, especially Margaret. You spent a lot of time, and I know it's a very valuable time for us to hear from you. And also thank you our all team members from Noah to Mira, because Mira joined last and Noah first. So I'm just in the middle, I'm taking everyone's names. And to lead our organization to take next level and aiming to make our campus more disabled friendlier, aiming to recruit volunteers to help each other to build to accomplish our academic and professional goals. So today, I'm just saying goodbye and see you soon again. Okay, I just stopped live. And